Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the closing beat. Last second here, getting ready, but I'm ready to roll. Hope you're having a good day here so far. This is our quick stock market update show that we do just to cover, the stock market, see how things go, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And of course, you're able to see on the screen how things are going today. What happened today? If you're following along the past couple days, you've noticed how we've said that the bulls wanted to get something done, couldn't get anything done, and throughout the day you just kind of fade, you just slowly fade away there. If you were to look to your bottom right-hand side, you can see almost the same thing as yesterday. In fact, if you followed the futures markets overnight, you had about 12 o'clock. Futures went into the positive. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, they go into the positive by 20, 30 points on the Dow. We start the day up about 50 points or so, and then we fade away. Again, the bulls took their shot. They wanted to get in there and help people, try to get people excited to get long, and it just didn't happen. So, of course, we'll cover that. Because of that, you got the Dow down about 32 points. 0.5% lost on the S&P 500 and about 0.5% on the Nasdaq 100, or the Nasdaq, I'm sorry. And so let's cover it. Let's see what's going on. If I can help you in any way, you can leave a question. We'll answer it towards the end of the class there, but this is it. Let's get started here. So that's the Dow. You've got the market's doing the same exact thing. Yields continuing to move higher. If I can flip over to the charts here real quick. This are our charts that our customers get to use in the dojo there. If you're one of our new customers, log into the dojo. You can follow along just like I do. But yields moving to new lows. Now you're going to see the bond price here, long-term bond on the screen. Prices move higher, yields move lower. That's how the bond markets work. And so we hit a new high. 10-year hits a new high that it hadn't seen since 2015. So yields just keep going lower and lower. It's great if you want to buy a house. Not good if you believe in the yield curve inversion. I think that's going to be the video on Friday, by the way, talking about the potential for a recession in the markets. Why not? Every other YouTuber who's not a financial professional at all seems to be talking about it. So why don't I talk about it? Maybe that'll be Friday for you. Market-wise, here's the S&P 500. You can see the clear same picture. We call them dojis, by the way, dojis everywhere. And that's just simply a candlestick where the open is very much close to the close. We call it a doji, and that's what happened yesterday as well as the day before. Today, tried to get something done, can't get anything done, but it's not all bad out there, right? 20% of the S&P 500, by the way, lost more than 1%. So 1% or greater, 20% of the S&P 500 sold off, with really semiconductors leading the way. And here, let's just pull it up. There you go. SMH is a symbol you can use to track the semiconductors if you like. Down 1.5% on the day. Back to the 20-period moving average, but coming there rather fast, right? If I throw a ball at you and I just kind of lob it at you, you're likely going to catch it. It's not going to be a big deal. If I wind up and I throw a ball as hard as I can at you, you're not going to like me very much, but you may step out of the way. So think of that as the support here in the short term for the markets. As far as the semiconductors pulling back towards the 20-period moving average. So that's the broad-based markets. Looking at the overall indices, sector, there we go, sector index, sectors of the market. You've got oil pulling back just a little bit today. Inventory numbers came out a little bit higher than expected. So there's more oil than we all expected week over week, and so prices pulled back a little. Not really a big deal if you're an oil investor because it continues that stair-stepping move. Not really many people are too concerned about it. Homebuilders got a lot of positive news today. It was higher by about 1% on the day, back above the above the 200-day moving average, the 50-day crossing above for the first time since, this time last year. If you were to zoom out far enough, you'd see that about this time last year was when the 50-day finally came back below the 200-day moving average. I can't actually show it on this one. Sorry about that. So Homebuilders, a lot of favorable news there, a lot of positive analysts looking positive on the home building sector. And by the way, tomorrow in our Wine and Wealth class for customers, we're going to actually go over analysts. Where do they stand? What do they mean right now? Like, what are analysts even doing? Where do they stand as far as the number of stocks that are being upgraded or downgraded by analysts? What are the top stocks out there? How many analysts in each sector and which ones are the best and all that stuff? If you miss it and you say, well, I'm thinking about joining Jazz Wealth, I just don't know, like I want to kind of follow you a little bit more, that's okay. It's always available in the video library. So if you're in the dojo and you're watching along, playing along with the charts and everything, all of our classes are all archived. These are the private classes. We don't publish anywhere, but all of those are archived for you, so you can certainly check it out if and when you ever happen to decide to join us. We work with all investors, right? We take the approach, by the way, that everybody doesn't know how this works. Right? We assume that some of you do, but we approach it as if none of you know what's really going on, and then we just teach. We keep piling on stuff, so the more you want to learn, the more I'm willing to teach. Utilities broke out to a new high yesterday, started pulling back today. Not a big deal if you're a long-term investor in utilities or any of them, really. Yesterday was over 30% of the stocks making new highs in the S&P 500 were all from utilities, right? Today, there was still a lot of them that still made new highs. So nonetheless, utilities pulling back. I think a lot of bulls are really going to like that. A couple other things that stick out. Retail. So it had a good day today. Retail's trying to work its way out of this little downtrend here. I'll zoom in so you can see that it's still stuck under the 20-period moving average. That may be helped a little tomorrow by Lululemon. The stock is higher after hours here. They beat on earnings, beat on revenue, had good sales. Everybody kind of expected their sales to be in line, and it was just killing it, right? So the stock's doing great. Everybody's wearing those tight pants. Actually, if you could see me, I'm not wearing Lululemon pants, but I'm wearing like the sort of workout pants. It's sort of cold here in Florida. Nonetheless, the XRT I'm using in this example to show that. By the way, if you did see our video earlier today, we talked about the XRT and the RTH. Tomorrow's video, it's not done yet, but we're going to talk about equal weight versus market cap weighted. There's a difference there, and the RTH and XRT are great examples of that, but I'll be sure to cover the S&P 500, and maybe we'll stick the Dow in there as well. So if you want to know why there's differences between the ETFs, that's going to be our topic tomorrow. Will be posted on the channel here about 1 o'clock. All right, individual stocks for the day. Lennar, you got a couple home builders. This is the reason, or a little help there for the home builders. Lennar up 4% on the day, and KBH was the other one. New highs here, short-term highs. KBH, both reporting earnings better than expected. New orders, that's the focus. New orders did really well for both of these companies. And Lennar actually came out and said, we're very, very, very positive here in the near term. Naturally, they can be with rates staying somewhat the same, so or expected to stay the same, so all good there. Southwest Airlines in the news today was up 2.25%. They lowered their guidance going forward. Most people kind of already priced that in, but they blamed, of course, the 737 MAX grounding as well as weather for the reason that they may not do as well going forward here in the short term. So the price, I think that was already honestly factored in. You kind of saw the volume the other day and over the last week, people pricing that in there. I'll just go ahead and turn that down because that's loud. You saw people pricing that in. That's fine. So the stock naturally doing well today. Other airlines, sort of hit or miss if you're following the different airlines there. People trying to digest this news from Boeing. Boeing, by the way, is a little bit higher on the day, added about 1%, a total of 1% there. The software fix, if you're familiar with the software fix or you're following along with that, could be just a matter of a couple weeks. So some positive news for Boeing, and that's why I came back to this screen here. If you look at the Dow, you got the Dow barely down on the day. Remember, I always say, if the Dow's down 100 points, you expect the S&P to be down about 10. Well, today we got the Dow down 32 points, but the S&P's down 13. One of those, either the Dow should have been down 130, roughly, or the S&P 500 should only be down about 3. There's a disconnect, and that tells you right away, I need to dig in and see what's going on. A lot of that had to do with Boeing. Boeing was one of the more favorable, it helped the Dow, supported the Dow today. Why did Boeing help the Dow? Well, I'll try to cover that in tomorrow's video, which is the Dow being price weighted. So a lot different than market cap weighted or equal weighted, which we're going to go over there. If you're an index fund, by the way, investor, let's say you read a book and somebody said you should buy index funds because they're low cost and everything. First question I want you to ask, which one? which index fund, right? Don't give me a ticker symbol. Tell me which index. Which index is the best for me? Second thing I want you to take a look at is it better to go with market cap or equal weight? I'm going to show you the example on that one tomorrow there. Other news today, Lyft just came out and raised their range, right? So they're going to go public here, and they now are at 70 to 72 as the price range. And I'll bet you they end up pricing a little higher than that. People are tripping all over themselves to get involved in Lyft. We did a video on them. Go back a few weeks. I covered Lyft when they announced the whole IPO thing. Covered all the geeky stats and everything on them. Papa John's up 2.5% today. Was upgraded by Stifel Nicholas. So if you're following along with Papa John's, you know, they've had some struggles there. They kicked out Papa John himself. He's gone. And now, as the stock sort of comes around and starts recovering from that mess, they announced Shaquille O'Neal is going to be a big partner here, giving him 9 stores out in Atlanta. Stifel Nicholas says, you know what? I think the worst is behind Papa John's, that they're going to recover from here. So they upgraded the stock to hold. They initially had a sell rating on it. Now they say they're upgrading it to a hold. I'll be sure to add that into our list tomorrow for our Wine and Wealth class so that we can help you out better understand what all that means. Ralph Lauren, a little bit higher today, helping support the retail area. Wells Fargo says that they see accelerating growth in the future and that the company is on the offensive as far as competing in the retail space. Speaking of, well, somewhat retail, I guess, Chipotle hitting new highs. Analysts came out and said, you know what? $7.60. That's the price target that they have for Chipotle. The stock has already rallied 60% this year. It's done really well. This analyst seems to think it's going to go to $7.60. We'll see what happens. So positive announcement for them, if that helps you out in any way. What else? Did I cover everything? Healthcare, the weaker area of the market here today. The new lows. If you look at all the new lows in the S&P 500, healthcare is a bigger weight there. You got a buyout going on there. You have the weakness still from Cigna and Humana from the other day. More weakness for them given the business that's going to be taken away from this new buyout with Centene. CVS also lower on the day. That's going to be a part of that buyout news as well. Lost about 2.5% on the day. So healthcare continues to get weaker. Also the Obamacare thing. Look, this is creeping back into the news. They're pushing this even further. Haven't we already sent this to the Supreme Court? Like, I don't care where you stand on it, really, but it's kind of a done topic. Like, politics season's getting ready to get started again. I hope you're ready, because it's going to be interesting. Hey, if you have any questions, I'm happy to help you. No, that's basically all I have for you there. Hello from Paris. Welcome from Paris. I love it. Watching in Paris. Apple added almost 1% on the day. They won their part of the iPhone ban that they had there. So sort of good news. We'll see. That's not over yet, by the way. Let's see. What do we have there for questions? Cancellations on the Boeing 737 Maxes. You can't. Like, I did a video a long time ago on Boeing and how they get their business and everything. If you are buying an airplane from Boeing, or 10 or 50 or 100, what are you going to do? Like, if you don't want to buy the 737 MAX, you can't go to Airbus, right? I mean, theoretically, you could go to Airbus, but you just went from maybe having planes in a year or two because you had ordered these a long time ago to now maybe having to wait 6 years, 7 years. So this whole cancellation thing is going to blow over absolutely for sure. So we'll see what happens there. Apple's laughable with their streaming service. Haven't really looked into it. I'm not a big fan of Apple stuff. I just never made the switch. Yeah, never made the switch. Alibaba. So a lot of the Chinese stocks, if you're following along, they did get a boost recently. They're starting to sort of flatten out like Alibaba right now. Trading in a little bit of a range there. I think you know, be nice to see Alibaba pull back personally. If I were interested, which I'm not. I'm not saying I am. JD looks a little stronger in the short term. Nielsen down after hours. Yeah. Watching from Saudi Arabia. How freaking cool is that? I'm 36 years old, so I was a kid, but I came from a moment in time where there was no internet, and then the next day there was. And we were all trying to figure it out. So to me, you're watching from Saudi Arabia. Holy cow. Holy cow. The blackboard thing, it was a gift. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I love it though. Yeah, it does work well. Cool. All right, that's all I have for you here today. If you're one of our customers tomorrow, Wine and Wealth, just a couple things, right? Wine and Wealth, we're going to do the analyst thing. Of course, we'll get geeky as we always do. Tomorrow's video for that we'll post here publicly is going to be on market cap weighted versus equal weight. And then Friday, we're going to cover recession or no recession. How do you know if all this, like if the word recession were a drinking game, wouldn't we all be just like stinking drunk right now because the word recession just keeps coming up over and over again? Let's talk about it, right? Let's dig into it a little bit. Leave the emotions out of it. We'll do that on Friday. What happens if the SPY gets resistance at 281 more than 10 times? I'm not sure what you mean by that, meaning it just keeps knocking its head against 281. I can promise you if it gets stuck at 281, it won't take 10 times. Markets don't take 10 times at any number, and by that I mean real attempt to go up, come back down. Go back to October of last year, 3 knocks up there at that 280 number before getting knocked down. 10 times, that won't happen. If I actually ran a study on that, I bet you we'd probably find maybe 6 times in total history where something hit 10 times in a row. Not very common. People don't wait that long. Yep. Cool, cool. How are limited partnerships, here's a question. How are limited partnerships taxed within an IRA? Are they taxed at all? I'm under the understanding these are taxed differently than most stocks held within an IRA. An IRA is an individual account. I might be misunderstanding your question there. But if you're saying, I own a limited partnership inside of an IRA, you are going to get a separate tax form. And on that tax form, I believe it's line I-2. Don't hold me to that. Look in that area, I-2. There should be a box on there that's X'd out saying that you own this limited partnership in a retirement account, and therefore, for the most part, unless you have gazillions of dollars, when you go to report it, they're going to say, we don't need this. It's not something we need. There you go. I hope that helps. I hope I understood that question right. If not, maybe send me an email. MongoDB, so broke out to new highs there, got very extended in the short term. Notice what's happening. When things like that happen, when stocks go too far too fast, they take a break. Right now, Mongo's taking a break after that earnings excitement there. So just know that, right? There's no hurry by anybody to dive back in. There may be some time that it moves around sideways if that's something that you like. If you happen to own it and it's moving sideways there, you're actually okay with that. You'd be no part of that. No problem with that. Cool. Financial investor helping us out there. Yeah, on the K1. That's what I meant to say. Thank you. On the K1, go to I2. I believe it's box I2 or on the K1, and it should be checked off for you. It should be checked off that it's in a retirement account if that's how you hold it. Cool. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up there. I appreciate you guys stopping by. A couple great videos coming out later this week, so be sure to tune into that. And if it helps you in some way, maybe you'll hit the subscribe button. I just appreciate you watching right now. We'll be back tomorrow, of course, to do this all over again. Last check, everything has been covered on my list. See you then.
Why should you choose Jazz Wealth as your retirement or long-term investing service? Our portfolios are managed by us, not some faceless mutual fund manager. Our private classes will teach you everything about investing and getting your dough straight. Best of all, our fiduciary standard means your best interest comes before ours.